Katie Gearlds. Okay, first of all, I need to know, what is your official coach name? Is it going to be Coach KG, Coach G, Coach Geralds, Coach Katie?
Yeah.
What's everybody calling you?
I have no idea.
You don't know.
Most people just coach right now. At Marion, they call me Coach G, and then it caught on that some people will start calling me Coach KG. So most people in the basketball world know me as KG.
Yeah.
But really, honestly, anything works. I'm easy, you know that.
All right, so Coach KG, that's what I'm going to go with on here. Because I know
I like it.
KG.
I like it.
Coach KG. Can you just introduce yourself to our listeners? Just where you started at and where you're at today.
Whew, good thing I'm not too old. So south side of Indianapolis, right? Grew up in Beech Grove. Had a pretty good high school career. We won a state championship my senior year, and then came here to Purdue from 03 to 07. Graduated from here in 2007, was drafted to the WNBA, played 3 years for the Seattle Storm, and then 7 years in Europe. And then I was 28 years old, never coached a day in my life, and interviewed for the Marion job. And I walked out of the meeting thinking, my goodness, this guy is going to call me and offer me the job. And he did. And I always told myself I wasn't ready to stop playing. But I just felt like if I got the job, it would be God's way of just telling me, hey, like, this is the path you're supposed to be on. And I felt that. And then coached 8 years down in Marion, had a pretty good run. And here I am back home, basically, with the chance to learn behind coach and work with the staff here. And then, next year take over, and we'll see what happens.
And when you say have a pretty good run down at Marion, that means, for those listening, back-to-back national championships. I don't know how many, probably 6 conference titles, multiple All-Americans. So not just a pretty good run, but a couple of national coaches of the year. So a great run at Marianne. And so now
a pretty good run.
Pretty good run. All right. So so you've had a storied, a legendary basketball playing career, and you've already had the start of a legendary coaching career. So when did you fall in love with basketball, and who were the players that you looked up to growing up?
Yeah. Easy question. My sister is about 4 years older than I am. Mm-hmm. Well, one of my sisters, and growing up, so I wouldn't say she started playing, at the Y or something when she was 7 or 8. And so here I am 3 or 4 years old and just kind of getting drug around to the gym. And that's kind of that's what I remember the most, just being in the gym, watching my sister play, but also oh my God, this game is kind of cool, right? Even at such a young age. I think I played in my first YMCA league when I was 4. And then just kind of took off from there. My parents invested a lot of time and a lot of money into traveling. And I know you know about that, traveling to tournaments. Those were our family vacations. Yep. Wherever AAU Nationals were, those became our family vacations. And then growing up, I always looked to my sister. We never met in high school. And I think if going back, my parents would have done it a little bit different, maybe started me earlier or held her back a year. So we could have met in high school, but we never did. But I got to watch her, and I got to watch her score 51 points in a game. I got to watch her have 20 steals in the same game. I got to watch her break all the records at Beech Grove. And I was like, okay, this is what I want. I want to follow in her footsteps. And she did. She challenged me to be great, because I always wanted to be not just the little sister, but I wanted to be better. And that was who I looked up to. And then I always saw my younger brother is 2 years younger than I am, and he was the one that got bullied, right? He was the one, we were in the backyard or in the garage, getting pushed around. So I got a lot. I thank him quite a bit, because he got up with me when we were in high school at 6 a.m. It was just him and I in the gym together. Had a key to the high school, and it was just him and I, and, we took our Pop-Tarts to go, and he rebounded for me. We played a lot of one-on-one, and just been really blessed to belong to a family that have just stood by me and helped push me and motivate me to be the best. I always tell everybody all the time, Courtney, if I can make my mom and dad proud and my family proud, then I'm doing something right. And that's just the motivation behind everything.
Couple questions that are just in my mind that I have to ask after hear all of that, and that's awesome. Reminded me of me growing up. I had an older brother. He's 6'5", and so I'd always go against him, and always kind of the same, like whatever he was doing, wanted to do. And so a couple questions. One, where was your favorite AAU nationals? Like the spot you guys traveled to, you're like, that was awesome.
I think the first one I went to, I was 9, and I was playing with the 10 and under team and the 11 and under team, but they were in Kenner, Louisiana. And I think, and they were back to back, right? The 10 and under and the 11 and under. And so I remember being there, like playing with the 10 and under team, and then, all my teammates went home, and then I played with the 11 and under team. Just like we were there for 2 weeks. I felt like my mom was there for a week, and then my dad came down, and then we kind of made it a family vacation. And I was 9 years old. I didn't understand what New Orleans was, or I didn't understand that. But just I remember 2 weeks of playing basketball and be with my family in another state was like the biggest thing for me. Yeah, that's probably the one that sticks out the most.
That's awesome. Did you get some Mardi Gras beads and eat some crawfish down there?
I did not eat any I remember eating the beignets, the little powdered donuts. Like I got to get back.
Yeah, those are solid for sure. Did your sister? For some reason, I didn't know you had an older sister that was a baller. Did your sister play in college somewhere? Or
Yep. She played at IPFW.
Okay.
So she played there when they were making the transition into Division I. So she was a part of that.
Yep.
So they took a lot of butt whoopings, but she got to go play at the barn in Minnesota. She played at Notre Dame. She got to travel and play those places. And the kid could shoot it. It runs in the family.
So the other question was gonna be, give me your most epic remembrance of playing against your sister, a one-on-one game, that just the best brawl that you guys had together. Was there any one that stands out to you?
It's not going to. Crazy enough, we didn't have a basketball goal until I was a freshman year in high school. My freshman year in high school, we didn't have a basketball goal at my house. We had a little 6-foot goal in my garage that my brother and I played on. So we didn't get a goal until my sister went to college. So we never played each other. And she never, like, I went to the park and played against the guys, right? Rode my bike to the park and that was never what she was about. So we never had any backyard draws. Now me and my brother, those ones where we're throwing the ball at each other and somebody's walking off mad. Yeah, that happened with my brother.
I remember those times, and I remember my brother when he had his first kid. He said, "Man, I'm glad that I was able to have kids, because the many times you threw the ball and hit me in a certain spot."
Exactly.
I was very glad. So
exactly.
So moving on to another question. So what does it mean to be a Purdue Boilermaker, and what makes Purdue so special?
Wow. Yeah, I don't even know that you can really put it into words, and unless you're a part of it, or unless I don't think you really experience it. But it's something that you probably even felt like during, when you're being recruited. As soon as you walk onto campus, it just feels like home. The environment, the people, obviously we're all Midwesterners, and we're a different breed anyway, right? We walk down the street and say hi to everybody, that's just how we are. And you feel it instantly here at Purdue. And then being able to, wear the P on your chest, and people around, not just the country, but around the world, know what Purdue is. I mean, it's special. And then the tunnel here behind me, right? Running down that tunnel and hearing the fans, like, I can't wait to do it as a coach, but as a player, I get chills thinking about it. And I don't know if you feel the same way, but it's something you really you can't put into words. It's home, and it's special.
Yeah, as soon as we pulled up and we're getting ready to start a podcast, and I saw the tunnel, it was just like you said, it was just like just deep
instant chills. Instant chills. Actually, I pulled this one up. Yeah, I pulled this one up on purpose. I usually have a different one, but I thought you would appreciate, like the whole tunnel back there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and just what that means. So
I just feel like I can hear the band playing and just the noise and just running out. Nothing like it, like you said.
Nothing.
So as you talked about when you were just kind of introducing yourself, so in high school you were named the 2003 NMS basketball. You guys won a state championship. your senior year, and you were named the MVP of the McDonald's All-American game. How were you able to achieve such great success? And tell us about the things that you did. I already kind of heard 6 a.m. You had a key to the high school gym. You guys would go in and shoot. But what were some things that you did to separate yourself from others? What was a typical kind of training regimen for you?
It's crazy. Like that. I don't know if it was like this for you growing up, but I didn't have a basketball specific trainer. I played all sports, right? I played baseball growing up. I played soccer. I played golf in high school. I played softball in high school. I ran track in middle school. It was never just about basketball for me. I made sure I was doing everything. Obviously, basketball dominated my life and it was my love, but I also, did all the other things too. And I'm a huge fan of, multi-sport athletes, because then you see real athleticism in that. But for me, honestly, it was riding my bike 4 miles to the park and playing with grown men, getting pushed around. First time I remember I walked up there and they just kind of chuckled, what is this girl doing? And I was like the last person picked. And then the next day I came back, I'm the first person picked. And so it just became one of those things where I just love playing at the park. I like I said, my brother and I went to school, had a key, and then just started dragging my teammates along with me. So they started coming in and we were playing against my brother's friends. So it was always like 5 girls against 5 guys, and we were playing against them, getting better. And that's probably why we were able to make a run, that my senior year winning the state. We played against boys, and they whooped our butts every morning, but we got better. And like I said, like I didn't ever do anything specific. It was just I loved the game, and so whatever I could do. Once we finally did get a goal, I remember my parents having to pull me in from the driveway because I'd have to go out and shovel, right? And then my hands would all crack, be bloody. I'd have to come in, bandage them up, wait till they were okay, and then go back outside. But I just any chance I got, I played basketball. I love it, right? And I think I love it and appreciate more now as a coach too, the mental side of it. But man, hooping is hooping, and if I could play every day, all day, my knees don't let me anymore. But there's nothing like it.
Absolutely, I love that you said that you didn't have a trainer. You just went out and you played multi-sport. I was the same. Soccer, baseball, played Little League baseball with the boys, played boys basketball leagues, played soccer all the way through my senior year. Even when I was at Purdue, the coach was like, hey, you want to stay a 5th year and play some soccer? And I was like, no, but I kind of thought about it. But there's nothing, just the movement that your body and just competing. You gain competitive spirit playing all those sports, and there's nothing like it. And even I'm sure you were the same way on the playground. Like you were playing with the boys, pick up basketball, whatever it was. Katie Gearlds you were gonna win. Like that's your mentality. So
whatever it is to this day, right?
Yeah. Whatever it is, you're gonna win. And
we're playing euchre with the family, and somebody cheats or reneges or something. Like I'm throwing the cards at you. Like that's not happening. And it's a running joke in my family. We're gonna keep playing until eventually I win, right? Like that's kind of until the cards fall in my favor. Like we're gonna keep playing.
You were probably the kid when you were younger playing Candyland that if you got the bad card, you would probably throw a fit until you got the right lollipop, right?
Yep.
No, that is good. And
that's awesome.
There's nothing like just getting out on your own driveway or going down to the park and just playing and just going out and shooting and getting up reps and being in the gym by yourself or playing against other people. Like everybody, all the kids listening, like that is how you're going to get better. And now, I'm in the business, but like training, stuff that I was doing on my driveway is what I'm teaching kids now and able to help them. And so if you need some guidance, like there's trainers there to help you, but there's nothing like just getting out there on your own and just going after it.
Nothing at all. I can't tell you how many times I had to just throw, like I didn't have nobody to throw a pass to. I was like throwing against a neighbor's house, right? And,
yes. Yeah.
I remember Bob and Miss Dorothy would come out like, Katie, we're trying to sleep. Like, come on now. Like, but it's what I had to do and what I wanted to do.
Exactly. My next door neighbor worked the 3rd shift at General Motors at GM. And so there were many times that I heard, hey, go inside or
get out.
Yeah. He was nice, but keeping them up. So we're kind of talking about the player development. What is your philosophy? So I know when you were at Marianne that you were able to take quite a few players and they earned, All-American status and things. What is your player development philosophy?
Don't waste a day.
Mm-hmm.
Get better every day. Get better at something. And it's, to me, you want to perfect your strengths, right? Let's work on our weaknesses, but perfect your strengths. And then make yourself unscoutable. Like, that's something that we always try to preach to our kids at Marion. Be unscoutable, right? Like, when we have a personnel scout and we tell you, like, this kid can't go left, we're going to sit on her right hand and force her to her left. Don't be that kid. Be unscoutable. Be a kid that can score from all three levels. But be a kid that when they look at film, how do we stop this kid? Mm-hmm. But do that by perfecting your strengths. Like, if you're a shooter, perfect being a shooter. If you can't shoot, perfect being a driver, but work on your shot that they can't scout it. Enough that you have confidence. To me, confidence is a huge thing. Get in the gym and repetition. It's get a gym. I mean, I shot it differently than the way you shoot it, right? We both, Jody Howe shot it differently. Brittany Rayburn shot it differently. We all shoot it differently. Reggie Miller shoots it differently than Steph Curry, but they perfect their craft. And to me, perfecting your craft and ultimately just staying in love with the game and play. I mean, you fell in love with that at a young age, right? Mm-hmm. Make sure every time you work, you're working out for that same little girl, right? The same little girl that fell in love with the game. There are days when, man, it's brutal, right? Like, it's tough. You're sore, you're tired, your practice is long, or whatever it is. There are days where you don't maybe find the motivation to do it, but find it by looking at that little girl and say, man, that kid was in love with the game. I got to stay on it for that kid. Mm-hmm. But that's just something we preached, and yeah, we got better. We had some kids that definitely got better, and like I said, we had a good run.
A good run, yeah. You're definitely preaching. I like that. Be unscoutable. That's I'm gonna be using that here in the barn today with some kids. Telling them be unscoutable.
I like it.
Yeah. So tell us about your recruiting experience as a player and what you are looking for now. So you're in the associate head coach role, gonna be taking over the program at Purdue next year. So what are you looking for when you're recruiting, like, that next generation of Boilermakers?
Yeah, honestly, so for me, when I was being recruited, obviously times have changed, right? Social media didn't exist. Mm-hmm. All of that stuff, times have changed. I grew up wanting to go to Tennessee. I wanted to play for Pat Summitt. I mean, my whole room was UT. It was. And then it's the same thing we talked about earlier. My first unofficial visit here to Purdue, I just fell in love. I was like, wow, this is great. And I went to an unofficial down at UT and got everything I ever wanted. I'm watching Tennessee and Connecticut play in person. I walk into Coach Summitt's office. She offers me, like, hey, we want you to come here. But I didn't ever get that same, man, this is home kind of feeling. And a week later, I committed to Purdue my junior year. It just felt right. Timing was right for me. Obviously, Coach Curry was really good at selling, and I fell in love with her and her mission, her vision, and what they were doing here at Purdue at the time. And I think, I played 3 years for Coach Curry and then 1 year for Coach here. But I think throughout that process of being recruited, Coach Curry taught me how to be a recruiter. And I think that's kind of, something that it's relationships. It's getting to know them. It's getting them to trust, but also, like, understand and feel you as a person, right? Like, yes, we're going to be their coach and we're going to, push you and make you uncomfortable, but that's where growth happens, right? In uncomfortable moments. And so that's kind of where I am as a recruiter. And then for me, recruiting is, I mean, we've got to get some kids in here that can just flat out hoop, right? Like, there are a lot out there. Hitting the state of Indiana hard is, first and foremost, right? Like, the best kids in the state, they have to want to be a Boilermaker now. The same way it was, when we grew up, like the best kids, like you were going to Purdue, just,
Yep.
and so that's, I think when Coach Paint took over, and he brought in the baby boilers his first year, like that's, those were all 3 kids from, I'm not saying that my kids have to be from the state of Indiana, but just getting kids in here that understand what the 6 letters across your chest mean when it says Purdue, what that stands for, what it means athletically, academically, and then later on in life as well, just understanding what a degree from Purdue can mean. And then running down the tunnel and playing in front of a large crowd, just want to put together a brand of basketball that that people want to come and watch, and then that kids want to come and play and be a part of that.
Let's go. I'm ready to go play.
You got any eligibility left?
Maybe. I wish. That would have been awesome. It was cool hearing you. Tennessee. So like every little girl in America like loved. I had one of those. Remember East Bay magazine? You get like the jersey made to have your last name on the back. So I had a Tennessee one growing up. But then I went to Purdue to camp, and the same thing. As soon as I was on campus, it was like, this is it. Like that home feeling. Like you can't explain it. Like you've said, like.
No, you can't. Yeah, that's awesome. That's so cool. But I feel like I still get those East Bay magazines, so.
Oh yeah, that was a go-to. So you were the 7th overall pick in the 2007 WNBA draft. Played 3 seasons for the Storm. Then you played multiple seasons overseas. You talked about earlier. What advice do you have for a basketball player who aspires to play professionally? I feel like this is a topic that not a lot of people get advice on. Like it's just you kind of in college and people are like, do I go overseas? Do I not? So what advice would you have for somebody who wants to play in the WNBA? We have boys that listen. If you want to play in the NBA, if you want to play overseas, so what advice?
Yeah. So you think about all the young kids that have this dream of being professional athletes, and the number that go to be a professional athlete is not that high, right? The percentage is not high, but the opportunity is there. And if it's something you want, you have to fully invest in making that dream come true. Dreams don't come true unless you work for them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not fully invested in it, if you're not willing to, no, don't get me wrong. It's important to have a social life. It's important to play multi-sports to me. It's important to have time with your friends. But if you're not invested enough and committed enough that, hey, your friends are going here, but you're going to miss a training session, what is it that matters to you in the long run, right? Like, what is it that is the most important thing for you? And it was always the most important thing for me. I can't tell you how many times I missed slumber parties or sleepovers with high school friends or middle school friends because I wanted to hear my name on draft day, and I'll never forget. I was the 7th pick. I walked across the stage. I get my jersey from the president. And I remember going to sit down after I did some media, and I looked at my mom and my dad, and I just said, thank you. Like everything we did, it was worth it because this was a dream come true, right? Like I actually got, everything I ever wanted was literally right in front of me, but it's not because I didn't work for it, right? Like you have to work for it and you have to be fully invested in it. And there are going to be days where it's tougher than others, but you just have to stay the course and trust the course that if this is what you want, then you go get it because it's out there, right? Young women who the WNBA is in the 25th year, right? Like we had a chance to aspire to get there. And now these young women, the opportunities are just bigger and bigger. And, more teams over in Europe now. Do it, go get it, invest in it, believe in it. And then, trust the people around you, be coachable, trust your trainers, trust your family, trust your coaches, and then surround yourself with, to me, my circle was always small. Surround yourself with a small circle that is going to be fully invested in the same dream that you have.
Preaching again. I'm going to start calling you instead of coach. It's going to be Pastor KG. Preaching.
Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness.
The Rev. Maybe the Rev might be the nickname.
Okay. All right.
So you are an elite shooter, and we talked about shooting a little bit earlier, how, you shot differently than I did, than Brittany Rayburn, than Jody Howe, and Steph and Reggie's different. So I was talking to April Schilling. She talked about how shooting is an art, and I like that, how artists are different, but you can still, an artist can make a good picture. A shooter can have a different looking shot and still make baskets. So on March 29th, 2007, you won the 3-point championship. You actually won overall out of all the boys and the girls. You beat a guy named Aaron Brooks, who was Mr. Basketball in Washington, played in the NBA. I think he just ended his career when I was looking. I think like in 2019, maybe he stopped playing the NBA.
Yeah, just recently. Yeah.
Yeah. So what advice do you have for all of our listeners who aspire to be an elite shooter like you?
Repetition.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even to this day, if I walk into a gym, the first thing I do is I go and this is how we start our practices at Marion. It is 5 spots, 10 makes in a row, from about 5 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do anything else until you do that. See the ball go through the basket, and then we'll move on. And repetition. You want to be a great shooter, shoot. Like that's all you have to do. And people could watch me shoot and say that's not pretty. Well, guess what? It goes in because I practiced it. Mm-hmm. I practice it. Like you said, it's an art. And, April's right. It's all going to look, all artists have different visions but the painting is still beautiful, right? When the ball goes through the net, it's still beautiful. Mm-hmm. So if I had to tell somebody, if you want to be a great shooter, repetition. Ask Steph Curry, what does he does? Listen to Steph Curry, the way he talks about how much he shoots. And he's the best shooter in the game of basketball because of it. And he's not ever done working on it, mm-hmm. right? He's not ever done working on it. I remember, so I listened to Peyton Manning talk one time. Peyton Manning is, in my opinion, the greatest quarterback ever. Mm-hmm. And he started practice every single day, 20 minutes, taking a hike from Jeff Saturday. So Jeff Saturday's a center. So for 20 minutes before every practice, they got there, and all he did was catch the football from his center for 20 minutes in a row. You don't think Peyton Manning knows how to do that? Right? But he wanted to be the best, and it's just the little things, repetition.
Mm-hmm. I thought it when we started out, I couldn't wait to get to this question later on. When we were talking earlier about how you guys had a 6-foot hoop at your house growing up until your freshman year of high school. And we always are preaching to kids who are wanting to learn shooting, like, you got to be using the right size basketball. You don't want to have a ball that's too big. You're going to create bad habits while you're doing your reps. And don't shoot on a goal that's too high, because, again, you're going to create, if you're doing repetition, you're creating bad habits. So you're shooting from your hip or slinging it up there. So the little thing, and that's a little thing, like, people are always, kids we talk to are like, I want to shoot farther out. Well, great, but you got to master in close first. And so I think it's cool for everybody listening that's younger, that college players are starting out 5 feet from the basket, make 10 in a row to start practice every day. Like, doing the little things matters.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy, but it's true.
Yes. So as we talked about earlier, so if you're playing a game of euchre, you got to win. You're going to go until you are going to win, and you're super competitive. And some of my favorite moments sitting in Coach V's office, we're hearing some of the stories from practice when you played for her, and just how competitive you were in practice. And tell us your best story about Coach V while you played for her that year.
Oh man. Wow. I can think of a few right off the top of my head. The first one is not that great. We actually went to Connecticut. Connecticut was #1 team in the country, had won so many games in a row, of course, up there. I think we were a top 10 team, and we're coming off a couple of good wins. And we had just won the preseason WNIT. I'd been playing pretty well, shooting it well. And we go up to Stores, and I go 2 for 18. Oof. I made my first shot and my last shot, and we lost by 7 points.
And you guys only lost by 7?
Only lost by 7.
Wow.
So I remember walking to media post-game with her, and I put my arm around her, and I was like, get in the gym with me, please. And so the next day we were in the gym, mm-hmm. and the next day we were in the gym, and then the next day we were in the gym, and she never left my side until my confidence was back. And that's like, like when you have a head coach fully invested in you as a player, and we hadn't really formed a perfect relationship. Yeah. I mean, I was still, it's early in the season, didn't really know each other that well, but she was there with me every single step of the way. And so when practices and we were doing shooting competitions and finally I started winning again, like it was like, just like go and put my arm around her, like, thank you. Right. Like you were there for me in my toughest moment as a player so far this year. And that's something that probably stands out the most to me about playing for her, is that her willingness to go above and beyond to make sure I was right mentally. Because I mean, 2 for 18 at Stores, we lose by 7. Yeah.
I think that, that's an awesome story. I think one of the great things about Coach V is that when we're in the dark, she helps us to see the light. And when you're in the dark, like nobody wants to walk through the woods at night by themselves. But if you have somebody with you and it's dark out, like it's better to walk through the woods together. It's just a different feeling. And so when Coach V does such a great job of coming alongside and walking through that dark until we get to the light. And so that's
right. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she did. She held my hand every step of the way there.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I was going. I knew that you'd have a good story.
Okay. Hopefully it was good enough.
No, that was awesome. Let's see. So was that the year? Yeah, that would have been the year you guys made it to the Elite Eight, because it was the year that Coach.
Yeah, we did.
Yep. So later on that year, you guys make it. So you go 2 for 18 beginning of the season. You guys make it to the Elite Eight that later that year. What made that team so special?
Our willingness to commit to each other, and just empower each other. I knew what my role was to go out and score, right? Lindsay knew what her job was, to come in and block shots and rebounds and score. Erin knew her job. Fakara knew her job. Everybody knew their job. And we were just committed as one. And when you have a group of, 12 to 15 young women who understand their role and are willing to put their own ego aside for the greater cause, the greater good, really good things can happen, right? Because not everybody can be your leading scorer. Not everybody can play 35 minutes. Not everybody can bring the ball up the court. But when each person accepts their role, it's amazing what can happen, because you see the greater good, right? The team and even our my teammates that didn't play, their investment in practice to make me better, to guard me the way I was going to get guarded in every game, to guard Lindsay the way Lindsay was getting guarded, to pressure Fakara up the court. Their full investment into doing that in practice, even when they were never going to be playing when the lights were on, that's the reason we won. That's the reason we were able to make a run, because everybody just fully accepted, like, okay, this is my job, and in the long run, it's going to pay out for us. And I think that's what's so great about coaching, is you have all these talented players, but getting them to truly buy into what it is that's going to make your team the most successful. One of my best teams at Marion, our second leading scorer came off the bench. She was a second team All-American, but we brought her off the bench because it fit what we were going to do. And once we got her to buy into accepting that, hey, I'm not a starter, I'm going to come off the bench. I mean, our team took off and we won 23 games in a row and win the national championship. I mean, it's crazy, but it's not that crazy. It's buying into your job and your role and doing that to be great as one.
Mm-hmm. 2 quotes stood out when we were talking about that. So one, Rick Warren has a book called The Purpose Driven Life. First sentence in the book is, it's not about you, period. Purpose is not about you, period. And then I think it's Johnny Wood in that, it's amazing what can be accomplished and nobody cares who gets the credit. That's on a lot of high school players, team shirts or whatever, but it's so true. And just being selfless, and that's just a life characteristic, that you have to be selfless as an employee, as in a family atmosphere, on a team, like just be selfless. So, all right, rapid fire questions. All right. So I got 10 of them, so it's gonna be fun. All right. So,
okay.
So number 1, what do you value the most in this life?
Family.
When you played at Purdue, you wore number 1 as your jersey number. In high school at Beech Grove and in the WNBA, you wore the number 4. Why 4?
4 is just my all-time favorite number.
Right on. Quattro. So do you remember playing and being trained by my husband, Jordan, and playing one-on-one against him after Matt Painter camp in IF? Jordan wanted me to ask you this question.
I remember it because I was coming back from ACL, and
Yes.
Jordan helped me during that process. I was playing with someone who understood the game, and so Jordan helped me come back from that.
Awesome. Best places to eat in Indy?
Oh man, the corner bar.
Corner bar, man. We
Yeah,
never been.
it's crazy. It's the best burger in Indy, I swear to God.
So it's called the corner.
It's literally a hole in the wall, and yeah, it's the smallest little bar. But
is it downtown Indy?
Nope, it's on the south side.
South side, okay. So south side, the corner bar. Got it. Best places to eat in West Lafayette?
Oh, right now, any Mexican restaurant is my go-to. But McGraw's is solid.
Yep.
Yeah, I could probably go on, but any Mexican restaurant is my go-to spot right now.
Yeah, so there is one female athlete on the XXX menu. It's a softball player. I don't know who's choosing them, but I don't know why Katie Gearlds isn't on there. So if you had a menu item at XXX Family Restaurant, what would it be called and what would it be?
Wow. Okay, so it'd have to be KG something, right? Like, I feel like it would have to be that. And it would be a ribeye steak sandwich with an egg on it, with tomato and lettuce. That's what it would be.
So it's a ribeye with, you said, tomato, lettuce, and what else?
Lettuce, a fried egg.
And a fried egg. So that's 3 things. So I got it. KG's triple.
I like it. That's it. And then, like, I mean, until you broke my record, like, it just makes sense, right? Like,
exactly. Hey, and speaking
KG 4, and then what if we add the 4 in? KG 43. KG, right? Like my number 4, KG 43.
KG 43. And to the people listening, so I'll never forget when I got the past year 3-point record. Chris McLaughlin now has passed me, so I was able. But I remember you texting me and just saying, records are meant to be broken. Congrats. And like, you sent this like super encouraging message to me. And I was like, that meant the world to me. So thank you for that. And
it couldn't have happened to a better person. That's for sure.
So when Carissa broke, I was able to pass on and, congratulate her. And I just remember how much that meant to me when you did that. So, all right, back to rapid fires. Oh, this is a good one. So, and when you're at Marianne and you probably be breaking out Purdue, where did you get your yellow heels from?
Yeah. I actually got them from the mall downtown Indy. I was walking through the store and 9 West was right there. And they're literally just right there. 9 West. And I walk in and it's like, they're about a half a size too small, but they didn't have any other ones. And I was like, I definitely have to rock these. Yeah, they were a must.
My cousin from Tennessee lives in North Carolina now, so she was asking. So there you go, Kristen. Go to 9 West and get you some yellow heels, girl. So there you go. So
9 West, Kristen.
The best basketball movie.
Hoosiers.
Yes. The Hoosiers theme song is actually what I walk down the aisle to. So there's a little Hoosiers.
I love it. That's awesome.
How do you feel about LeBron and Space Jam 2?
Well, that's tough for me because I'm a LeBron fan. But I just feel like, I mean, because it's LeBron, okay, but Space Jam is Mike's.
Mike.
Yeah.
Did you have the Space Jam Michael Jordan jersey?
No, but I had a poster.
There we go. As long as you got that, we're good. Your favorite things to do on an off day?
Play golf. Every day, all day, play golf.
All right. And here, this isn't on my list of rapid fire questions. So when you're driving off, so you're a good shooter. Can you explain to me, how can we, when we drive off, hit the ball straight and not slice it to the right? Is there any?
Well, I'm a slicer, so I just aim left so it slices into the middle of the fairway.
There we go. I love it. I'm going to go out and practice out here in the field after this. So more left and go straight. Well, sweet. Well, hey, this was awesome, KG. I know you got some kids to go recruit, go work in the gym, you got stuff to do. So thank you for coming on and inspiring everybody who's going to listen to this. So excited
I appreciate it, Simo.
for you being back home too. So it's awesome.
I appreciate it, Simo. This is good.
All right. We'll see you.
I will see you.